In this video, we're going to take a close look at the Apple Watch SE. As you can see, the first notable thing is that it has the same design as the more expensive Apple Watch Series 8. We can find aluminium on the sides, which, by the way, it's actually called 7000 series aluminium, and it's the same one they use to build planes. So it's going to be incredibly resistant. We can also find very strong glass protecting the display so it doesn't scratch or break. And the physical buttons on the case feel very good. They probably have the most satisfying click out of every Apple device I've tried. Overall, everything on this Apple Watch feels very well made, very Apple. Some people think that because it's a cheaper watch, it's going to have worse materials or a worse build quality, and absolutely not. But there is a problem. Remember when I told you there's a very strong glass protecting the display? Well, that is technically true, but it is not the strongest glass Apple makes. See, as we saw earlier, the design and the materials are the same on the Watch SE as on the more expensive Watch Series 8, which means they both have the same glass protecting the display. But the Series 8, apart from the aluminium finish, has an even more expensive variant with stainless steel sides and sapphire glass. Sapphire glass it's awesome. It's almost unbreakable. It's very hard to scratch unless you really try, and it also has a more premium look and feel. The problem is that this more expensive alternative is not available on the Watch SE. And yeah, sure, this is not a problem for 90% of you who don't really care and are fine with the normal finish, but for that 10% of people who want a more resistant watch, this sucks. Anyways, let's move on to something positive. If you have your watch on your wrist, it doesn't ask for any password, it just unlocks automatically. But when you have it off your wrist, it asks for a password every single time you try to unlock it. And this is actually a very cool feature. Turns out your skin, your exterior skin, has electricity. So when you have it on your wrist, it can notice that it's on your wrist because of that electricity. So it doesn't bother you with passwords and passcodes and none of that because it knows you have it on your wrist and it's you. So there's no need for a password. But when you take it off, there's no longer any electricity. So the watch basically locks itself unless you put back the password and put it back on your wrist. So if someone tries to steal it, they can't because the moment it leaves your wrist, the watch is unusable. Power and performance are also top shelf. We have the S5 processor with 2 cores, we have Bluetooth 5, we have GPS, we have optional 4G LTE, and we have 32 gigabytes of onboard storage. I have to give you the technical numbers, but don't worry, I'm gonna put it to the test so you can see what that means in real life. When navigating the system, which is the most basic task possible, the device behaves surprisingly well. It doesn't stutter, it doesn't make me wait for things to happen. Everything is just very fast and responsive. Actually, for navigating the system, for navigating the watch, I would say it's as smooth and as fast as a normal 60 Hz iPhone. Next, I want to load up the most common apps, the ones you're probably going to use the most. Like your activity, which loaded up instantaneously and runs like butter. Or the weather app, which also loaded up instantaneously and also runs like butter. Those two apps and navigating the system are what 90% of you are going to be doing most of the time with the watch. And as you saw, the experience was perfect. So good job, Apple. Okay, now I want to push it a little bit harder. I'm going to load up Maps. As you can see, there's a loading screen first. It doesn't load up instantaneously, although it barely takes up an extra second. And then on the app itself, things run 85% as good as they did on the apps we tested before. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but things sometimes take like an extra millisecond to load. Still awesome, perfect performance, almost unnoticeable, but Let's just give them a slightly lower pace applause. If you want to play games like with the Maps app, they're going to take a split second to load, but once you're playing, things run very smooth, both in simple games in black and white imitating Pong, and in more demanding games with color and a little bit more complexity. You're barely ever going to play video games on your watch, but it's nice to know that you can and you're going to have a good experience. So good job, Apple, and this time we're going to give them the good applause. Moving on to the accessories, the watch always comes with an Apple band included in the box, which you can always take off in like 10 seconds and replace with any other band, even if it's not made by Apple. This is very cool because they could have easily made the watch and the band connected together, so you have to take it to the Apple store and pay $99 for them to replace it and change it for another one of their bands because they can't do a third party because they don't trust it. It's cool that they made it free for, everybody to be able to make bands, made it so you can, with your bare hands, just take it off in like 5-10 seconds. It's very cool. Thank you, Apple. The default band, at least in my case, is great. It has this weird mechanism to tie it up that can be a little bit confusing at first, but once you figure it out, it's actually faster to put the watch in and definitely faster to take the watch out. It's also very durable. I've been using this one for like 1.5 years and it feels as good as new. But okay, now I want to be honest and tell you that for me, the thing that I love the most about the watch is the ecosystem. This is made by Apple, ladies and gentlemen. So there's of course going to be lots of things that you can only do if you have an iPhone or a Mac, like playing and pausing music from your iPhone, or automatically connecting to your AirPods, or taking calls from your iPhone, or unlocking your Mac, or, which is very cool, unlocking your iPhone when you have a mask on. As you saw, most of these things are the watch connecting to the iPhone in some type of way, which is very cool because if you're looking to get an Apple Watch SE, you probably already have an iPhone, so you're going to be able to use these ecosystem tricks and things. Okay guys, now please pay close attention. The Apple Watch, as many of you know, is water resistant. So yes, you can use it in the shower, you can use it to swim, both in a pool and in the ocean. And I say this because I've seen a lot of people taking it on and off to go to the shower, to wash their hands, to go to the pool. Guys, you don't have to do that. This is a very, very water resistant device. It can actually go down up to 160 feet underwater. I just wanted to say it because I feel like some of you are making your experience with the watch worse out of not knowing that it's water resistant. The display comes in 2 sizes. This one, the big one, the 44mm, and a slightly smaller 41mm, which by the way, it has no other disadvantage, it's just a little bit smaller. As you can see now, I am addressing the main concern right away. Yes, you can use it outside facing the sun and it's going to be very visible, but it doesn't stop there. It also looks very good. It's one of the famous Apple Retina displays, which means you can't really see any pixels with a naked eye. The only complaint is that it's not as big and futuristic as the display on the Watch Series 8, which has practically no bezels, and it goes from 44mm to 45mm. And I feel like that's where you have to make the decision. Do you want to pay $200 more for a slightly bigger display on the Watch Series 8? And well, sensors, more sensors. You have a blood pressure sensor, a temperature sensor. None of those things I don't really understand, I don't really need for my day-to-day life, so I would definitely go for the SE. Which, by the way, right now you can actually find it on Amazon with a small discount. You'll find a direct link in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.